Of course, people love Zoro. That's not something that needs to be regurgitated. But I was honestly thinking about how Zoro would fare against the commander. A lot of Zoro's strength is based off of speculation because we have no idea how strong he is. But I think everyone in the community, well, not everyone, I think a lot of people in the community feels like Zoro is underrated in a way, as far as strength is concerned. But we all know, we all feel like Zoro hasn't gone all out post-time skip. Zoro was my favorite character pre-time skip. It's not more so he's changed, he just hasn't developed much, right? And I believe that has to do with the story and just how events have played out. It's not really Zoro, it's just where the story has gone. But one thing that remains clear is that Zoro is going to be a top tier at the end of the series, and he's one of the strongest Straw Hats. More than likely, I'm not even going to say, but Zoro is one of the strongest Straw Hats. Well, there are people out there that they feel that Zoro is stronger than Luffy, or at least as strong as Luffy. And with that, there are point of reference things that you can use. People use Roger and Rayleigh. And for me, there is no indication that Rayleigh was equal to Roger. They used the fact that Roger called Rayleigh a partner. And I don't think that's enough for me to say that Rayleigh was equal to Roger. Again, he was the Dark King. And that's funny because I was going to talk about that. Where people say that the Dark King means that if Roger wasn't the king, Rayleigh had the potential to be king. That's why he is the Dark King. And I don't agree with that at all. People use that to say Zoro more than likely he is as strong as Luffy, or he could be stronger. I have an extensive Zoro versus Luffy video coming out, so I don't want to get too deep into it. However, this is the basis of thinking. Zoro, he had Mihawk as his trainer. Zoro is a swordsman, Mihawk is the world's greatest swordsman. They're more so compatible than Luffy and Rayleigh, who Rayleigh was a swordsman and Luffy is a devil fruit user / brawler. So Rayleigh couldn't really teach Luffy much because they don't fight the same way. Rayleigh seems like he's the more intelligent type. He would take advantage of different matchups, while Luffy is, somewhat a brawler. And when the opportunity presents itself, he will take it, but he's mostly endurance and he's going to outlast you. He's going to fight with a lot of tenacity, but Luffy isn't the thinking type per se. Luffy does think, I guess, sometimes, but for the most part, he is improvisational, where really, I think he tries to figure things out before they happen so that he can anticipate it. So people compare the trainers and say, well, they're relatively close pre-time skip, which I do agree with. I think at some point, Luffy gained some separation. I think that's after Luffy literally separated from his crew. After that point, he grew a lot. So even as Zoro and Luffy were close at Sabaody, right? Luffy went to Amazon Lily, then he went to Impo Down, then he went to Marineford. And if we are going to feed into the Haki blooming thing, there were numerous opportunities where Luffy was near death, and I assumed his Haki was blooming because he was in the War of the Best, right? Zoro wasn't there. And that's not a shot to Zoro, it's just that Luffy has had a lot more experience than Zoro has. So the basis of this, people are saying, well, if Zoro and Luffy were equal going into the time skip, let's assume that Zoro had the better trainer, more compatible. His mentor was probably stronger than Luffy's, so that's another thing where I don't think strength matters with a mentor at the time. It's just about how they can teach you and how you soak up that information. So some people say based off of that, coming out of the time skip, Zoro was stronger than Luffy. So Luffy now is catching up to Zoro. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of a crazy way of thinking. But then that goes to the conversation of, okay, if Zoro was to face commanders right now, how would he fare? Going off of the matchups post-time skip, Zoro hasn't faced many people of note, but the people he has faced that offer some resistance, he hasn't been terrible. The strongest person Zoro has gone up against post-time skip, everyone knows, is Fujitora. And they had a brief clash in which Zoro went against Fujitora. Fujitora sunk him into the ground, and Zoro came back with a flying slash, which made Fujitora tell his men to back off because this guy is serious. And if you go off of how people hyped up Oden after Whitebeard told his men to go back, I guess the same should apply for Zoro, right? However, that's a clash, which One Piece is known for, so there's no conclusion there. But if we were to go with Zoro's previous matchups, with Pika, and I guess the dragon, but mostly Pika, we don't talk about Fishman Island. And that's probably the only person of note, and of note is in air quotes, because Pika wasn't that impressive. Pika ran the entire time. When Zoro finally found him, it was over. But judging off of Pika, right, where do you guys place Pika in regards to commander level? Do you think he was 4th commander level, 5th? That is a thing because of Whitebeard's crew, but how strong was Pika? I think Pika was more useful than anything. Strength for Pika, I don't really think he was stronger than Virgo. I think Virgo was the strongest commander for Doflamingo, if you want to call him that. Not significantly stronger than Pika, but I think he would have won versus Pika probably mid to high diff, if we're going there. Because I think Pika, he really depended on his Haki. Virgo kind of did the same, but then it's like a weird thing here with Law and how he fared against Doflamingo and how he fared against Virgo. But Law has the ultimate technique in which he has one-shot potential. So if you get caught the wrong way, maybe your Haki isn't strong strong enough at the time, you could get obliterated instantly. So back to Zoro though, he made short work of Pika. So I'm willing to jump Zoro to probably 4th commander level right now, or by Pika. At that point by Pika, 4th commander level. Now, progressing through the story, Zoro still hasn't fought anyone, but he's gotten a new sword. The problem with that is that Enma has been a sword to wound Kaido or scar Kaido, but there really wasn't any focus on Enma during the flashback, so it's hard to gauge whether or not Enma is the sword that, you should respect or it was all Odin. That's something I want to talk about as well, but I think it takes away from Enma a bit. Whereas Enma was impressive when Zoro got a hold of it and it started sucking up Zoro's haki, we didn't see that with Odin, which I thought we would see, and that would have been a lot more impressive in regards to, the sword being more impressive. Now, that's not to take away from it, because when we saw Zoro use it, the meme was he's cutting cliffs. So he's cliff cutting Zoro now. Law could do that as well, easily. But that's not the point. Zoro now has a new sword. We're assuming Zoro has mastered the sword to some degree. So off of that, I'm moving him up to 3rd commander level, maybe 2nd. Now here's the issue. Luffy coming out of the time skip fought Doflamingo. People feel like Luffy was not stronger than Doflamingo. And then you go back to Gear 4th and how strong Gear 4th was against Doflamingo, but I think there are flaws in that logic, which, God, that's something I want to talk about as well. Because Gear 4th, while it did overwhelm Doflamingo, it ultimately failed. Doflamingo won. Doflamingo went up against Law and Luffy, took Law's ultimate attack, mind you. Then after fought Luffy using his awakening, outlasted that, then had to fight the entirety of Dressrosa, it seems like, then eventually is put down by a King Kong gun. That was a hard fought battle for Luffy. So Luffy, we're assuming, haki bloomed at that point, got stronger. Jump to Whole Cake Island, Luffy fights Cracker. Cracker gives Luffy all he can take, and that's with Nami weakening Cracker. We feel like at that point, Cracker would have won against Luffy if Nami was not there, and the trees and the river guards, so Cracker was definitely at a disadvantage. So after winning that long fight, he then goes and fights Katakuri. Another long fight, Luffy was getting his butt whooped. Eventually, he overcame Katakuri. Call it how you may, he overcame Katakuri, right? I'm one that thinks Katakuri is so stronger, but hey, overcame Katakuri, another bump. And we cannot forget the Rayleigh flashback. He had those, right? He eats those, and he had those in Whole Cake Island by abundance. So Luffy overcame Katakuri, the Rayleigh flashbacks, and tenacity, I suppose. Fighting Doflamingo, fighting Cracker, fighting Katakuri, barely overcoming Katakuri after these 2 previous fights. How do you scale Zoro to right-hand commander level? Where Zoro fought Pika, and that's it. How does he go from that to Katakuri, or someone in the vein of Katakuri like King? Logically, he doesn't. Logically, it would make no sense. It makes no sense for Zoro to fight no one close to the level of anyone Luffy has fought, but then be able to fight someone Luffy just fought an arc previously without the experience Luffy had. Unless you go with the thinking of Zoro being stronger than Luffy coming out of the time skip. I don't think it makes sense, but here's how it could work, I suppose. Let's say before Zoro fights King, he fights Kirishiro. And Kirishiro is a commander level character, maybe 3rd, 2nd commander level. Kirishiro gives him all he can handle. He overcomes Kirishiro, and then maybe there's a break. Then he comes back and he fights King. Is that enough? Maybe not. But also, we have not seen Ashura post time skip. So now, to make up for Doflamingo and Cracker, he uses Ashura and he has Enma. So those are technically 2 power-ups to make up for the haki blooming that Luffy gets. Does that justify it? In my opinion, no. Power scaling in One Piece is all about headcanon, speculation, and just whatever the hell you want to make it out to be, because it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem like it's the focus of the author, so we try to make it whatever we want to make it. And these are one of those things. We assume that Zoro will definitely fight a commander in Wano. Some people think that Zoro is killing Kaido in Wano. I plan on talking about that as well. I've talked about it before, but I have a new perspective on it. My final verdict on where I think Zoro is right now, I'm going to say between 2nd and 3rd commander. I think with Enma, the possibility of Ashura, I think with his incredible will, he could overcome someone like Cracker, maybe Useless Smoothie. Looking at other 2nd commanders, Lucky Roo. I'm not sure who's Blackbeard's 2nd commander, because a lot of people feel like Bird, just because he's in command of the 1st ship, he's the right hand of Blackbeard, when it's fucking obvious that it's Shiryu. But regardless, I don't know, with Blackbeard, maybe Katarina, or if you want to go Van Augur or Avalo Pizarro. It's not really clear who the 2nd person after Shiryu is, but in Whitebeard's, it would have been Ace, but I think Zoro's comparable to Vista right now. I think he wins versus Vista, but it's a tough battle because Vista is kind of underrated in a way. Maybe Vista deserves his own video, honestly, because he hasn't gotten a lot of love. I don't think I've ever watched a Vista video. Does one exist? Sure there are, but Jesus Christ. But yeah, guys, between second and third commander level, for me, the justification for right hand commander level right now isn't there. By the end of the arc, definitely. But right now, no, I just don't see it. But guys, give me your thoughts. Where do you think Zoro is currently in One Piece as far as strength? Because a lot of people are scaling him to right hand commander level right now, when I don't think that's the case. But give me your thoughts. Like the video and subscribe for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram, bragod.ace. Like and subscribe, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.